my enemies, yeah. You see, you wanted to save you, and then learn how to raise you. But I forget you're from the wilderness.
Is that a lizard? That's it. You can do that well. What are you doing there? What's going on?
It's like, do that?
Great.
It's like that, but you just go.
Oh, right.
So you like minimize the volume.
Okay, I don't know. I can't do that.
I am
A
one of the
lizard.
Illuminati celebrities.
What is up, everyone? I'm Rob.
I'm Lizard.
And this is Monster Fuzz. Talking about reptilian lizards.
I've always wanted to go into this a bit more. The Illuminati elite lizards.
Yeah.
And I figured maybe a conspiracy themed episode might be fun.
We've done lizardy people before,
We've
but
done
not
the
in this
swamp
capacity.
war, man.
Yeah.
They're more cryptidy, like here's a crocodile man and here's a frog man.
That's how it's related, because if there actually is lizard men out there
Controlling society from the inside.
you know, these scape war swamp man sightings could actually be real lizard people. That could be one of the former presidents of the USA just going about his
Going out
business
for a
in the
walk.
swamp.
That was actually George W. Bush Sr., I believe. Yeah, just having a crack.
Jimmy Carter is a lizard.
Jimmy
Surely.
Carter.
Still alive and kicking as well. For that.
Yeah, no. Was Roosevelt the one who was warned about the military-industrial complex? Or was that
Don't know.
Roosevelt?
One
Yeah.
of them lads.
Can't remember. They're not my presidents,
No.
so I don't
Shouts
care.
out. Before we get into this lizard-themed episode, Lagarto, I believe, is Spanish for lizard. Shouts out.
Lagarto.
We'd like to remind everyone we are on Patreon. We do appreciate your support, and it is indeed what keeps this podcast going. Eamon, did you know that we would be called fringe media, maybe? And what I mean by that is we're not commercially viable in the sense of
Not surprising, yeah.
traditional media wouldn't back us monetarily.
Yeah, of course.
So the support of patrons is much appreciated. And that's what keeps this going. Any podcast that you listen to that is a bit off the beaten track, but you really enjoy,
Patreon is the
keeps it
lifeblood,
going.
like, yeah.
And that's what you need, because podcasts like us, we're not going to get on fucking RTE talking about Mothman. Do you know what I mean? You have to...
Now, Gordo got on TV3 talking about conspiracies, so...
Yeah, conspiracies though are pop culture. Talking about
That's true, yeah.
talking about Lizard Man in the
less so.
swamp is not.
Cryptids just haven't had their day in the sun yet,
Yeah.
but it'll come.
Wait until everyone meets Mothman. They're going to be fucking asking us what's the story. Tell us about Mothman, please. We need
We'll
to
be
know
able to
before he
tell you
kills us all.
TNT.
And you're like, yeah, no, well, we told you in episode fucking 2.
We told you, very bad episode.
Yeah,
Sound quality.
2000.
Terrible.
Year 2000.
Yeah. O'Hare Airport. Mothman.
So yeah, basically, long story short, guys,
Give us
Patreon keeps us going. You get your exclusive episodes out of it. You get ad-free episodes, and you also get other bits. Like we do ask for episode suggestions and all of that jazz, and we do work through them as well. Recently, we remembered them, as a matter of fact. So yeah, you can pay yearly as well if you like. If you don't like that whole monthly thing, or if you're like me and you get a windfall and you're like, I'm going to spend all this by the time next month is here,
Immediately,
and
if
I'll have
not
nothing
sooner.
in my bank
I
account.
want to have this eradicated from my savings within 30 days.
Yeah, my impulsivity is like, oh, this money, I have to spend it. I need to find a way to spend this money quickly. Gone are the days of when you're saving for a mortgage and you're trying to be financially fucking sensible. That's gone now for me.
I don't know, my gutter's coming down again. I have to save for the repairs that my house needs now.
If my house needed repairs, they just will continue to need them.
I like that. actually.
Long term.
I might adopt that. I'll go home and talk to my wife. Listen, I was just talking to, I had a consultant who didn't work to me.
She don't need gutters anyway. That's just a nice place to put the water. Like, just let the water free fall. Like,
I think you do need them because yeah, I'll give it a go.
it's just so you don't get a bit wet.
Why do
walking
you even
out.
need a roof? Like, what do you even need it for?
Sleep in a tent inside the house. You don't need a roof.
I have a big garden.
Yeah, absolutely. Eamon, if they've spotted a lizard man, if they know lizard men, maybe personally, or,
If they are a lizard man, are you part of the Illuminati blood drinking humanoids, shapeshifters that run most of our government? Give us a shout. monsterfuzzpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, this is a bit of a, obviously we're not doing the deep dive.
no.
David Icke is in this.
You're saying deep dive, and we're doing a conspiracy episode. Gordo's going to be at the rush for
Well,
royalties.
so yeah, exactly.
Be careful.
Now, to be fair,
Anything else you want to mention there?
Just shouts out to our reptilian overlords. No, but David Icke, I had done an episode with Gordo years ago about David Icke. Like, we're not touching on any of that stuff in as much depth because we'd be here till 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And I need to sleep. So it's kind of an introduction to the idea of the reptilians. And we dick around a bit. We look even a little bit after the elite reptilians into the kind of like the reptilian aliens. So there's a tiny little, they show up here for a minute. But it is certainly more of a surface scratch than the in-depth bloodletting that these Babylonian brotherhood will have.
It's all related, you know. If you're into your cryptids, you're into your aliens, then you have to entertain the possibility of reptilians, you know. It's just the way it is.
What's really funny about this is that because if you follow the line of conspiracy, I'm not against the idea of conspiracies, but there are some outlandish conspiracies.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not really in a position to say I disagree or because I'm talking about metaphysical Bigfoot as if it's definitely real. So let's be, you know, objectively, I understand the fallacy of what I'm saying here. But if you follow a conspiracy like chemtrails, if you just keep saying why, for a lot of these conspiracies, keep asking why, you eventually have nowhere to come back to but satanistic, clandestine, like basically this is as deep as it gets. You're talking about alien reptoids that mimic humans and want to control our society.
At a quick glance and a quick observation, it kind of seems like another way to cast out people as others. That if you have a good theory that these people are lizards, then that makes them the other, even more so than just being an opposing human.
I thought when I first heard David Icke's theories, and we'll get into it a little bit down, but I assumed that it was like a metaphor for they are reptilian in that it's limbic brain, there's no compassion, it's about control and coercion.
So you're very intelligent though. You're
I do have
really
a very
intelligent level.
Like my brain.
That's what an intelligent person would do. I just thought
You just
there are
thought
people that are lizards.
Sure, lads can change.
Lads are lizards.
Sure, lads can change.
So maybe it is a lad and a lizard.
But that made sense in a way because you do see people in power, and we see it a lot now. You get the likes of Epstein, all this stuff that's coming out with P. and all that. You see there are elitist horror stories going on now, and they do seem to revolve around child abuse and stuff like that. But also the conspiracies, well, maybe sometimes I wonder if part of this stuff has almost been blasted out to be like, oh, that's such a ridiculous concept that it couldn't exist, but actually celebrities are doing very close to the horrible stuff that we would...
chaff grenade.
A chaff grenade, yeah. It stops the CCTV and you can go in and get after liquid smoke. Yeah, pretty good.
Or a flare. It's like a counter flare. It's like it's trying to...
when the missiles are
it's trying to obfuscate the truth. It's trying to...
Absolutely. It's giving you just enough of the truth to mislead the whole thing. It's like what they would say, a lot of government misinformation or disinformation, UFO disinformation. And I'm kind of... with all the released documents and that it's, you know, come so much more into the public forum, you do have to ask yourself, like, is something going on here where they're giving us just enough to distract us from something else?
Yeah, like perhaps.
There's another conspiracy, which is after the crash. No one ever really talks about how badly the banks, like, just went in dry on us, right?
Great. Lovely.
There is a conspiracy about them that says shortly after that, all the banks started putting on like the LGBTQI stuff. And the idea was that we're going to polarize the people with culture war. So everyone stops focusing on how ridiculous banking is and how maybe institutions like Revolut are a better way to go. Again, I'm not saying I believe that, but it's an interesting conspiracy as well, you know?
Yeah. No, for sure, because I remember at the crash like that, at least in Ireland here, you know, we were out for blood for like vulture funds and all that.
Yeah.
Which I've made this observation in the past. Very fucking funny, right? How people are out in the street now marching over in comparison to that. actually quite trivial and fucking stupid things.
Absolutely, yeah.
But no one would get up and fucking march at the crash.
It's mad. There wasn't a shop broken into or a bus set on fire.
We were bending over and going, bum me more, actually.
Yeah.
Please. And I'm complicit too. I'm not trying to point fingers.
No, but you and me have never gone to a demonstration against anything. No. So like we're allowed to
we were
give
just
out
going, bum me more.
everything.
I actually do think I was at a demonstration against something. I don't know what though. I feel like I was at one point in time, maybe. Who knows?
Probably something cool.
Sounds like something I do.
No, it doesn't anymore. Maybe back then.
I feel like maybe I was.
I know there's
probably some witch
people I knew that were
like
they were camping out for the.
I was at slaying tickets camping out for them. Thus I did that.
That's probably the most illogical kind of thing of all. But yeah, no, it's a mad thing. But anyway, these are all adjacent to the lizard.
We need to get to Em, and we need to get to the lizard people.
So the reptilians, the reptoids, the archons, the reptiloids, the saurians, the draconians, or simply just the lizard people, are reptilian humanoids which play a prominent role in fantasy science fiction. That's grand. That's like Conan the Barbarian and all. But
Star Trek.
More V.
Yeah, V was good. You're wanting that now.
She's in Deadpool. All three of them. Aging like a fine Chianti. But what we're talking about today is ufology and conspiracy theories. Some conspiracy theorists are going on saying that there's an extraterrestrial hypothesis that these reptoids come from the Draco constellation.
Nice.
Hilarious that it would be called the Draco, like dragon,
look like dragons.
Or the Orion constellation, and are allies. They are allies with nefarious extraterrestrials from the Orion constellation. So they're all against us. There's no good reptoids.
So I wonder, do they call us are we like monkoids or something? Because we look like monkeys.
Could be. Probably just call us caucasoids. Everyone's just caucasoid. Monkoid. What would be like?
Congoid. We're getting to
the one that we're say. We're getting to we're throwing out just the jabs just to see can we get a box through.
When you're throwing out
we all want to say it, lads, but we shouldn't.
When you're throwing out names of oid at the end of it, it's like, what kind of controversial old-timey racial fucking thing am I saying by accident there?
Yeah.
So monkoid is probably safe enough.
Could be monkoid. I'm trying to think of other things. Mammoid, like a mammal.
Yeah.
A mammoid, because we're mammals.
Yeah. It could be from that they would call us.
They definitely they would be too PC to call us the other two oids. That would cause trouble. One involving the China. Well, I suppose one's fairly close to Congozoid, and the other then is the lads who tried to get into the Chinese through the Chinese wall. What we've done there is we've let you know what we were thinking without saying anything insensitive, and that's the zenith of true broadcasting legends. That's as high as you can go.
It is, yeah.
You know. So other lads are saying that they're interdimensional child molesters coming from other universes or dimensions. Now, the idea of reptilians was popularised by our friend and yours, Mr. David Icke. A conspiracy.
Everybody loves David.
Everybody loves David Icke. Don't kick the baby. He's a conspiracy theorist who claims that shape-shifting reptilian aliens control the Earth.
True.
By taking on human form and gaining political power to manipulate human society. So as we alluded to when we were shooting the breeze at the start, I thought that this was a metaphor for people in power, and that made sense to me. Then I realised it wasn't a metaphor, and it no longer made sense to me. So Icke has stated on multiple occasions that many world leaders are possessed by reptilian.
Oh my God. Before we get into it there about David Icke, favourite reptiles in pop culture?
Mine?
Yeah, reptilian humans, kind of.
Oh, reptilian humans. The lizard from Spider-Man, Dr. Kurt Connors, grew his arm back with terrible consequences.
Terrible.
He was a good man.
Awful.
Played marginally well by Rhys Ifans, I would say, and the amazing
Rhys Ifans
Spider-Man.
plays everything well.
He does.
Good actor.
You could see his heart wasn't in it now when he was playing a big lizard, but he did.
He was in House of the Dragon as well.
He was. He was very reptilian in his agenda there. You know, you could say. Yeah. What other famous? Obviously, V. There's Monica Baccarin. Is that your one's name? Something like that. Looks good, scaly or not, really.
I'll give you one. The lad that Captain Kirk fought on the planet. And he threw a boulder at him.
They were doing fighting in the desert. Yeah,
he's my favourite, I think, out of all of them. I don't even know his name, but he's my favourite. And beyond that, I think that's about it, really. I don't know of any more. Oh, Argonians out of Skyrim, of course.
I was going to say
out of Oblivion and all.
I was going to say dragons from Game of Thrones. You could argue they're not reptilian. They're probably from the planet Draco, though, are they?
They could be.
Yeah,
they could be. So let's get back to David Icke. Born David von Icke in April 29th, 1952, in Leicester, England. Icke was a footballer, he was a soccer player playing as a goalkeeper. Unfortunately, his football career was cut short due to health issues related to rheumatoid arthritis, which forced him to retire at a young age. It's very young to be getting rheumatoid arthritis, huh? After leaving football, Icke transitioned into sports broadcasting, where he became a sports presenter for the BBC in the 1980s. He was a familiar face on TV. His role as a presenter was well known, and he was known across mainstream media, really. You would say kind of getting up there as a household name probably at the time, along with the likes of Des Lynam and John Motson.
There you go.
And
there you go.
And Peter Beardsley.
Peter Beardsley. There's only one.
In the late 1980s, Icke experienced what he described as a spiritual awakening.
So the spiritual awakening, just because I don't have it in the notes here, it's something to the effect, if I recall correctly, going into a bookshop and basically having like the energy of Gaia guide him to a book and all sorts of stuff, and then he just...
It's like channeled almost.
He goes from there to having like 2 wives who I think eventually run off with each other and all sorts of stuff, but he goes full, starts wearing the turquoise shell shoots because turquoise is a healing colour.
That's what you want, really.
I have a purple room that I go to sometimes to recharge my reptilian heart.
Yeah, I come in here with all the fucking Pazuzu shit on the walls and all that, you know.
Yeah.
We have to make it more spooky soon, though. This is a little side tangent here. We need to make more. I may put like a few brains and guts up on the walls or something, bats or something. You know what I mean? Monster podcast, condoms full of jelly.
I'd say hang a few condoms from the antlers of the plastic deer, and that'd probably get a bit of traction. It'd scare me anyway. I wouldn't be into it.
Right. So he got a spiritual awakening. This dramatic shift in his worldview began after a visit to a psychic, apparently, who reportedly told him that he was destined to become a great spiritual healer and would be led to uncover hidden truths about the world. This marked the beginning of his divergence from mainstream broadcasting into the world of alternative beliefs and conspiracy. One of the most infamous moments in Icke's career occurred during an appearance on a British talk show, Wogan. Shouts out Terry Wogan, Limerick's finest.
Yeah, Irishman.
You wouldn't know he's from Limerick based on his accent.
How are you getting on, David?
He's from the same
place. How'd you seeing God?
Blind Boy is.
Yeah, no, he has that kind of...
West Brit.
I was going to say, the West Brit, the planted accent, if you will.
The chameleon blend in with
much like popular geckos and chameleons.
So, shouts out Wogan, though. During the interview, Icke declared that he was... David Icke actually sounds kind of better, though. Icke. He declared that he was the son of the Godhead, and that the world was on the verge of a series of devastating natural disasters. His statements were met with widespread ridicule, and the interview became a defining moment, turning Icke into a figure of public mockery.
Yeah, so that was
dull times of 1991.
They're not laughing with you, David. No. They're laughing at you.
And he's right, because in 1991 we were all just sitting around picking our holes. So,
X-Files wasn't even out yet, so you had no real frame for... Now, what is kind of interesting is there is a Carl Pilkington.
Yeah.
There was an episode of something he did years ago, and he went and he hung around with like 3 people who, had very... Like David Icke was one of them. There was a professor and there was another guy. The 2 other people were quite diminishing of Carl Pilkington and the way he would think about things and blah, blah, blah. But actually, if you watch the TV show, and I don't know if it's the way it was shot or whatever, it's over a decade since I've seen it. But David Icke, to his credit, was nice, was very nice and seemed like a decent person to talk to. I'm not saying I believe in anything he's saying or anything like that, but he was very like saying to cars like, well, maybe your way of thinking is just, you know, it's different, doesn't mean it's wrong. Like, but whereas the other lads were kind of like, you're dope.
To be fair though, one could argue that David Icke needs to use charisma to try and trick the plebeians.
Well,
rather than academic, because he's already been rejected by the academics, right? So he's not going to win via. I
don't think David Icke was even entertained by the academics. But so like he initially used to be like, you know, Queen Elizabeth is a reptile shapeshifter.
Yeah, well, that's true, probably.
Which possibly, yeah. Which then became, it's the bloody bankers. So if you look at his more recent talks, they're all like just talking about like, oh, the bankers. Blah, which
the thing is always interesting about all of this stuff and about the idea of like New World Orders, about bankers, all this stuff. It's like they are all in cahoots. There are there is a
deep state.
What do you call it? It's not. Is it a walled garden? It's like a gate. Like there is gates,
a glass ceiling.
Yeah, there are like there's definitely obstacles in position for like the likes of you and I to get into these places, and within those rungs on the ladder, it gets more and more fucked up. Because if you look at like P. Diddy, right, it's like he's at what many would look at as one of the highest rungs of the ladder in terms of pop culture.
Yeah.
He's a household name. Everyone knows his stupid fucking name. He was a talentless hack, by the way, and was always fucking useless. Useless cunt. Shit rapper. Never had a good tune. Literally never had a good tune. The only tune that he had that was good was when he robbed one of Sting's songs, and then he robbed Kashmir.
Yeah.
Like he literally robbed two of the most famous songs and went, yeah, I'm just going to put some shite rap that no one remembers that over.
Work smart, don't work hard.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I know what you mean. No one, like, he's not like he released any like massively popular original tunes.
So him and like Kanye, right? Kanye has been actually kind of loosely tied in with all of this stuff too.
In that they think he's complicit in it.
Yeah. But
Beyonce and Jay-Z, but like, look, everyone's saying everything right now.
One thing Kanye always complained about was that they weren't letting him in to like certain circles. Like he was like, because Kanye wanted to always be known as like a fashion guy.
Right.
But he was like the institution of fashion. I know this is Kanye, is a very influential pop culture figure.
Yeah.
He was like, they won't let me in. Like I've tried, they won't let me in. It's like there's a glass ceiling, it's a walled garden type of thing. A walled garden might be the wrong term. But it like basically they just won't let me in there no matter what I try. So yeah, so within society, no matter who you are, there is an echelon which you won't be able to get into unless you're of a certain stature. So when you're at that very top rung, you have to imagine that in that top rung there's probably a couple of hundred people in the world. And that's when conspiracy...
And that's when you can...
Well, that's when you get that...
I'll put it to you this way, right?
Economic Forum, is that one? That's
the World Economic Forum and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Getting into them now.
So, like, let's say all the P. Diddy stuff that's coming out, all the Epstein stuff, they are both conspiracies.
Yeah.
They may not be connected to this sort of massive overarching New World Order conspiracy, but they are people conspiring to do these things that aren't legal.
Yeah.
The other part of it is that I think, like, the more you look at this stuff, the more you kind of do think there is some sort of deep state stuff going on. Now, again, doesn't mean there's reptiles and stuff, but there's people pulling the strings.
Yeah, controlling the markets and all that. Wouldn't be surprised at all.
So Epstein, think of all the people that went out there on that plane, right? I have a feeling, I could be wrong about this, some of them were out there and they're wanting to do this stuff. I think some of them were probably tricked into hooking up with underage girls, and then they had that on them and they could gain leverage over them to make the decisions they wanted them to make.
I think it was even less than that. I think, from what I'm aware of, like a lot of it is like they just were on one of his planes. He used to actually just offer...
He may not have done anything.
Like he used to offer like flights. It's like...
Okay, right.
Like chartered... Like if you want to jump on my private jet from London to New York, I'm flying out. Like, so if you want to go on it, go on it.
Yeah.
So then their name, when they're on there, they're on that list.
And it's a lot easier than actually trying to sort out your own stuff. To be fair, like it's like.
But then if you think about it, right? So let's just say, to play devil's advocate, you were wanting to fly. You're a famous celebrity. You're a Bill Gates. I'm not saying Bill Gates is or isn't involved in any of this, but let's just say you as a person. And Epstein goes to you. You don't really know much about him, but he's like, "Here, do you want to use my jet?" And you're like, okay, cool. So you use the jet, which does happen a lot, by the way. That you can actually rent yourself. You can actually get on a private jet that is chartered. People do it all the time.
Right.
And you fly over. Now, you mightn't have done anything. You might know nothing about Epstein. Only on maybe you have terms of going like, how are we getting on? Fucking whatever.
Friend of a friend.
Now, he gets busted. But now you know that your name has been on his planes. And you're like, oh, fuck. Like I've been so. I think probably a bit of that there.
But I think like there's a lot of people saying that they reckon he was an undercover agent, not in the cool James Bond way, but in a way where he was trying to entrap influential people. So like they would hook up with girls who they thought were of a certain age, and they'd be like, actually, you just statutory essayed someone. So we have that on you.
Happens in the hip hop community.
I would imagine,
In hip hop community is gay sex usually. It's like
so it's like the DL thing is like keep it on the
it's like a domination thing. It's like they'll get like young. It allegedly happened to Lil Wayne, allegedly with Birdman, allegedly. But like once that had happened, he had it over him, and it's like if you step out of line, you do fucking anything. Like I've got that over you. Like, do you know what I mean?
So it's effectively like a power
it's a power
control thing. So it's almost the same as what we're talking about with these reptilians. It's just that's a more fantastical view of it. But we're seeing, I mean, it's a good thing in society that we are seeing these things get called out. We're seeing people getting persecuted for this, prosecuted rather, because like it's like, especially with the PD, there's stuff where, and even with the Epstein things, because there's one thing about, I'm not saying that any of this is right, but there's people who are, late teenagers, say, and it's awful stuff to happen to them, certainly from watching some of the documentaries and the Epstein stuff. Then there's other reports, and it's like young kids, like it's really horrible situations. And I think part of it as well is it just power, and like the people who have enough power. We saw it here with the Catholic Church with the abuses there. They had power, they controlled everything, and it was almost like, what's the worst thing I can do with this power? Like how to have that level of power, if you're someone who's strong in a position of authority, and you use that negatively on the most vulnerable people in society who are children, like that, there's no way to be worse than that.
No, sex and drugs is like how they control the plebes.
Yeah.
It's like those are the folly of plebs. The higher ups only worry about real money and shit like that. They're too cute to be worried about that kind of shit. They don't need to worry about that shit. Should you ever hear about all them? If you ever see, here's one for our listeners. You ever see, here's a real fucking conspiracy. It's quite a fun exercise. You ever see any of those Instagram models, right? If they start showing up in Dubai, they're going over to escort.
Yeah, but even worse.
Yeah, they're going over to do mad shit like reptilian, fucking riding reptiles and shit.
But these are the lads with money who, because they can afford anything. Yeah. Like I've heard this, they want to
just coerce them. They're just like, oh, you're here now. So
there was one of
if you ride a fucking lizard or something, they'll give you 50 grand.
They 50 grand.
And they're like, yeah, go on lizard.
But 50 grand is like 10 guys defecate on.
And then you go home and you're like, what did I do? Good lord.
But it isn't a mad thing. And it's the thing that they have, like, because it's how much
would it cost you now if you went over to Saudi and they were like,
I want 10 of my friends to give me a Canadian top hat.
Yeah.
Like,
you'd be like, how much you if they did your gutter, and you'd be happy enough, would you?
Yeah, fix that gutter, man. That's going to cost me 50 grand now the way it keeps going, get a second mortgage on the house. It's a funny thing though, isn't it? Like, but that's the thing, you can understand someone being like, I want to get this influencer, this porn star, pay her a load of money and have sex with her.
I'm glad I'm not a woman.
Right? Awful, right? But that sort of makes sense. Yeah, so would I. I'd be over there doing it for no money. Just bring me out to dinner. But like, so that'd be one thing, right? But the fact that they want to do dehumanizing things to you for money, and what does that say about those people? And
that's awful fucking.
But the fact that you would use your power like that, use your influence to just dehumanize people who have much less than you. It's a really fucked up thing. Like, it's bizarre.
It's mad. It just makes you feel fucking greasy when you think
about horrible.
Like, when you think about that shit, you're just like, ass to ass.
Yeah, come on, lads, let's get 10 of our friends and we're all just going to pay this young one. It's just
greasy, man.
It's horrible, yeah.
It's like appalling. Do you know what I mean?
But you must be raised with such a level of non-empathy for humans that you just don't care. Like, all that matters must be money. Yeah. It almost be power, control.
Yeah.
That's
get back to the lizard people, man. I'd rather the fucking lizard people over reality.
It sounds like it. In the years following this fallout, Icke began to write books and give talks that outlined a vast global conspiracy involving secret societies, extraterrestrial beings, and elite manipulation of the human population.
Oh, fuck.
His conspiracy theories have evolved over the years, but there are central themes that often emerge. Icke believes that a small group of powerful individuals, often referred to as the Illuminati or the global elite, controls world governments, the economy, and media institutions. Now again, like we say before, there are speckles of truth in all this stuff. And that's why sometimes I think about disinformation, where they're trying to go, and because they make it so ridiculous with the reptilians, you kind of just ignore all of it.
It's true across the board, but a lot of it is just like more mundane. Like you could say, like our state media, for example, RTE, like only bagels get jobs for RTE, right? It's people that play the system. Like it's a very nepotism, incestual sort of bag kind of institution. Our
political system is very similar as well.
And you have to lick hole and you have to know who is what and what is who. You have to play the game to get in. You have to toe the line.
The lads who hold the power aren't going to allow you to get in, and then you're going to revolutionize the whole thing.
Now, you could say that is reptilian overlords in a conspiracy.
It's the same kind of behavior.
The truth is just more mundane. It's just they're sticking to what they know. It's a bit of nepotism. It's a bit of like kind of just boringness.
This is the way the engine
goes. Just
and then these things do over time. They'll break down. There'll be a massive change, and then it'll kind of reach a new norm, and then that'll be indulgent of various abuses and nepotism and all that sort of stuff. So this has been going on since time began. This is
you can see why people get annoyed at it as well, because like sometimes things aren't like talent based. It's not based on your merits. It's based on who you know or what. But
you know what it could be. It could be a way that our evolution is trying to say, like, you're not supposed to get that famous. Like if you had a tribe of 150 people, you might have the guy in charge, right? But he could never do stuff like this because the whole tribe could take him down. You couldn't get to that level of power. You would have perks from being the alpha male or whatever it was. But ultimately...
True, but you were about to get bombed when you hit about 40.
You're taking it.
If you're still alive, you're getting bombed. Like.
But that's the thing, is that you couldn't consolidate that much power and use it in that way. So sometimes you kind of wonder, is it down to their wiring that, like, when you do, you're like, it's one thing to be the head of 150 people. You're talking about being on top of billions of people.
So you're talking about like...
So it just goes totally out of whack. Like it was never meant to work like that.
Yeah, like the system was never meant to... Yeah, no, I could see that. That makes sense.
And almost like the fact that it goes so wickedly wrong is almost like nature's way of going like, you're not meant to do this. Like
isn't that what most people say? Is just like, it's just people are just trying to keep the sort of what's the word? They're just trying to keep the status quo, right? They're just trying to keep going the way that they have gone, the way that's worked for them. But that doesn't work in the modern system anymore. Like it's not working anymore. But they're hell bent on just keeping the system the way it is. Yeah. Regardless.
And the system will change and it will fall and it will collapse. All of it will collapse. But hopefully not in our lifetime. Not that we want all the rappers like abusing people. I'm more so talking about banks and television and things podcasts, for example.
For sure.
So according to Icke, these elites are behind wars, financial crises, and other global events, and it's all wired to maintain control over humanity. One of his most infamous theories is that many members of the global elite are in fact reptilian aliens from the constellation Draco, who can shapeshift into human form. These reptilians, he claims, manipulate humanity by taking on influential roles such as politicians, royalty, corporate leaders, and celebrities. Icke's ideas touch on a wide range of conspiracies, from 9/11 being an inside job to secret alien-human hybrid. So that's, and I think...
We've done an episode on that. Go and check it out.
Alien-human hybrids. That's a Alex Jones one. He also believes in the concept called the archon, or the Saturn moon matrix, suggesting that human perception is controlled by external forces, that our reality is a simulated illusion. So if I'm recalling correctly from doing this episode many years ago with Gordo, we are a hologram of our true selves and the moon isn't real, something like that. It's something really bizarre.
Makes sense. Sometimes,
totally.
Sometimes I feel like a hologram.
I do feel like a bit of a hologram there at the moment. Icke has written numerous books and given lectures across the world, often speaking to large audiences about his theories. So some of the works are including The Biggest Secret. This is 1999. Icke outlines his belief in the reptilian shapeshifters and the kind of deep state Illuminati, if you like. Human Race, Get Off Your Knees, The Lion Sleeps No More, popular title in 2010. This is another key work where he expands on his ideas about the global elite and control over human consciousness. So there you go. There's like 11 years of the ideas staying, pretty much on the same track, right? Icke's work has been heavily criticized and labeled as pseudoscience, misinformation, and at times hate speech. In terms of the hate speech, the most significant are the anti-Semitic tropes that pop up. Critics have argued that Icke's theories about the global elite and secretive control echo classic anti-Semitic conspiracy theories.
They kind of do a bit.
They actually do, such as those found in the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, a fabricated anti-Semitic text from the early 20th century. So that was something that was made to denounce the... When you say Zion, there's
Zion
being Jewish. Yeah, it was the Matrix. But the being Jewish and then Hasidic Jewish is more like Amish Jewish. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it could be, yeah. And Zion, the Rastafarians are all about Zion.
Are they going back into
Zion? You never heard that in
like
Bob Marley
a lion
song? Bob Marley's always
coming
singing
into Zion.
Holy Zion. Yeah.
Yeah, was he Jewish? Or was he...
Rastafarians have a weird
relationship.
Haile Selassie, I can't remember, but it's a really interesting read. Haile Selassie was Jesus. I think that's
because the Jewish people believe that the Christ hasn't come back yet, right? Not Christ. Sorry.
Yeah.
They believe that God's Son hasn't come back yet.
Yeah.
So
the Jewish star is used in Rastafarianism and all that as well. There's mad parallels between the religions. They borrow a lot from it, actually.
Oh, okay. So, I gotcha.
But there's a lot. Yeah, no. This is what happened to me as I got a little bit older with conspiracy theory. I was like, It became really obvious, I think, when we got to the last presidential election involving Donald Trump. I was like, are these conspiracies emerging just political fucking tools to just try and manipulate people's way of thinking?
Now they are. Now it's meta conspiracy. Yeah,
but now they are. But then were they always like that? And now they're just hyper focused, So, and what I will pose to you is, so we're not American, obviously, but I will give you a little bit of an example of the media that I would have been consuming around the time of 9/11 was all...
Steel beams don't burn.
Yeah, but what's his name? Michael Moore.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And a lot of the time, his way of thinking... A lot of people over here were just 9/11 was an inside job, and also here's Michael Moore's books and stuff. And Michael Moore is one of the leading thinkers of establishment that's going on at the time.
And there's an element of grift before it was popularized by YouTube. I see what you're saying.
But Michael Moore, obviously had an agenda himself, and the agenda was obviously totally anti the right at the time,
Yeah.
And so you wonder, was he kind of surfing? Now maybe this is just me and only me. Anyone that's our age or older will be able to relate to this maybe, and they can relate what it was like over there maybe. But for me, it felt like, Michael Moore was surfing this wave of vitriol towards Bush and all that was coming from every angle, and much from a conspiratorial angle as well, because people were like, look at the way this is all going on. This was definitely an inside job. His government planned all this, and it was all kind of, it just seemed at the time like a hit piece. I don't give a fuck about George Bush or the Republican Party, whatever, who cares? It's not my politics. But that now in hindsight I look back and I go, that really did feel like traction. A political football. I
think part of it is you start off Michael Moore obviously is invested in some of the ideas he's invested in at a start, because Michael Moore
Bowling for Columbine,
he starts from a place and he goes, this
Dude,
is where
Where's My
stupid.
Country was that
Dude, Where's My Country is the other one. I think what happens is, let's think about Rage Against the Machine. they start making music and they're all like, we're doing this like rap metal against the establishment music. By the third album, does Zach De La Rocca really want to be singing about some other stuff that the CIA shouldn't be doing or whatever? Yeah. I reckon it starts out as a thing that you're like passionate about, and then it becomes your method of making money.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then after a while, it's like, well, now, like, you become like, you could make the argument that we grift on this. I don't think we make enough money to be accused of that. But if we were making mad money on this, we would be accused of grifting, because a lot of the stuff we talk about is probably popular culture war, conspiracy stuff like this, because it's all so fluid and connected now, because all of the media is way more connected with the likes of YouTube and things like that.
Yeah, I think the grift angle is bollocks though, for us especially.
Oh no, for us for sure. But I can see how we could be accused of it, if that makes sense.
I don't think we could. I think if your model was to be... We talk about Bigfoot, man. There's no money in Bigfoot, like...
That's true. If we stopped talking about Bigfoot and we started talking more about...
Well, if we just started talking about we love guns and fuck the left, like...
Yeah.
Then we would be grifting.
Well, here's an interesting one for you,
we're
right?
not. We don't have any... Or John, vice versa, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
So John Ronson had a podcast recently. John Ronson's like written a lot of really interesting books, which I wouldn't say are anti-establishment, but they're sort of in the vein of Louis Theroux a little bit. Maybe a little bit more serious. So he would investigate certain groups like the Ku Klux Klan, live amongst them for a while. So similar to Louis Theroux, but it's all books rather than TV shows. But he did a podcast. I can't remember the name of it. It was something about the culture wars, and he would just visit various, people who were invested in these culture wars. And it's a really interesting insight into both sides of the culture wars. I suppose some people could say, it's not grifting. I would argue it's not. But I'm trying to think of it if you just said he's using that as a vehicle to do this.
But I don't think that's a grift. I think you're right. I think what a grift is if you're making money off something that you don't really believe in at all, and you're trying to you're making a puppet of it.
Yeah, do you think the lads...
If you or I were... So a great example would be if you or I had this podcast and we, behind the scenes, thought it was all bollocks. We laughed about everyone sending in stories. We thought it was all wank, right?
Yeah.
But we were making lots of money from it, and then we were also saying like, we're
pandering to our audience,
and we could talk like we can talk to ghosts, lads. So if you want to send us money, we'll actually talk to them. That to me is grifting.
Do you think that it's possible? Because when I think of grifters, I think of a lot of the Daily Wire lads.
Yeah, I don't really watch any of that shit.
I don't really watch any of it. I've seen little bits and pieces, and it seems like, it's catered totally towards this particular group of
What's his name? Is that who's the Daily Wire?
That's Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Matt Hughes, and all those guys.
Perhaps. Sometimes with those kind of guys, I feel like your actual feelings are different from the feelings that you're putting out on air. That sometimes can be that actually they have more extreme viewpoints that they're not putting out on air.
Yeah, they're trying to covertly say,
or they have less.
That's what I thought was interesting
at times.
And look, fair play to him in a way for at least saying it. Like, if you are a person who's like, I don't believe in gay marriage,
that's actually
like, say it. That's but it's such a poorly placed argument, and I feel like when you're basing everything on a religious book, there's nothing wrong with being religious, but like, it closes you off then to the other ideas. Like when Shapiro is going like, I can't go to a wedding, a same-sex wedding, because it's against my religion. Like, to your point, that's kind of a covert way of saying, I don't think those gays should be getting married. Which is then what your man Matt Hughes says. He goes, but sure, what even is marriage if they're getting married? It's like, and then you interrogate it very briefly, and you go, so you're saying, like, say a couple who can't have a kid or don't want a kid, so they shouldn't get married. He's like, well, no, I'm not. And the more you probe it doesn't make sense, because it doesn't stand up to scrutiny. Because if we've decided in our society now that marriage is a union of two people for love, maybe for...
Well, I think everyone knows that it doesn't make sense. And I think
they
all know, but they all know what they actually
their
think.
Viewership then... but there's the viewership who are just like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that gay stuff. And it's like, just say it if you don't. Like, I'm much more comfortable to say it. And I find that they try to... And some of the stuff they do say is very logical in terms of, like, they can show the hypocrisy of other groups, but they're awash with it themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Your man Ruben, his commentary on Conor McGregor having enough of the government and lads burning out buses up in Dublin, that's some of the poorest journalism. And look,
But that's why you want to shoehorn it into your agenda.
Yes, exactly. Because all your people who are like, I don't want immigrants, will jump and say, Conor McGregor, strong man.
Look at him in Ireland.
You know?
Look at him in Ireland.
They've had enough. They've had enough. Not a single bookshop was fucking plundered. Only shoe shops.
Long story short, you're right. It is that way, but not everyone's going to agree with that because there are people who think that those people speak how they think properly and they represent them properly.
Yeah, and I think you're allowed to do that. It's just we've never said that we're trying to bring you the truth. If anything, we're trying to just distract you from how difficult your life can be with a bit of comedy. And again, occasionally we get into more serious information. Not information, more serious
true information.
Conversation.
Reptilians.
And reptilians are real. But you know what I mean? Like we're just supposed to shoot the shit, and it's meant to be like a chat with your friends.
Yeah, I don't want to put anything sinister out there.
No,
for anyone.
Not at all.
And I'm not interested.
I want to say stuff that I think is funny, or
I'm actually just not interested in upsetting anyone. Really, I think that's probably it.
No, I think interested in upsetting people, but I do like when I see things that are hypocritical. It annoys me, and I like to be like, how can you have that with that though? But again, I'm not doing it to piss someone off. No. It's like. And I could be wrong, so let me know if I'm wrong, and I might go, oh fuck, I'm being hypocritical by thinking that way. But I'm open to different ideas and different viewpoints. It's just I get very frustrated when I see. We've talked about it so many times. It's the full way to the left or the full way to the right or whatever you are when you're just bought into like it's like, oh well, you have to do this, oh and you have to like that, oh you can't be.
Well, certain podcasts just aren't going to come out and say like things that are against their audience.
I bet it's going to come out about one of them boys before that they paid for abortions for the fucking teen concubines or some shit.
But there's just nothing like you just know that they can't say certain things because they have to toe the line. Yeah. And that's the reality. But anyway, look, let's get back to fucking lizards be fucked. What's the story? Is it my part, is it?
Back to the big bad lizards.
Icke and other proponents often link these reptilian entities to the ancient Sumerian mythology of the Anunnaki. Graham Hancock. Save me, Graham.
Save me, Graham.
Deity, give me the answers, Graham. What civilizations are in the Amazon? Deities who, according to some interpretations, were extraterrestrials that influenced human civilization. There's a great example, Graham Hancock. Like, he's not going to turn around and say, do you know what? Actually, there's nothing in any of them jungles. There's nothing in them deserts. There's nothing in any of them places. Like, he's not going to say that. He's never, even if it's true, it's not true, by the way, but he's never, ever going to say that. So he has to say, well, that fucking mountain there now, there's a bit of an old fucking monkey skull carved into that there or something.
Who done that? No, when you think about it.
Go back, Teppy and all, son. The idea of reptiles, where are we? Oh, Jesus. So, the idea of reptilians is also sometimes connected to the broader ancient astronaut theory, which suggests that advanced alien species visited Earth in the distant past and either created or genetically modified humanity. Prometheus, son. I'm all over that.
You're into that.
I think it was the dinosaurs, though. I think people are missing the point. They could have been the lizard people. The dinosaurs came here first, seeded the planet. They became a bunch of dumb fucking dinosaurs and died out, and then here we are.
Maybe they just want us to think that they were dumb dinosaurs.
There are dinosaur cities are coming, we know that.
Someday.
In these theories, reptilians are said to be adept at shapeshifting, the ability to change their physical form at will. This allows them to infiltrate human societies without detection. They are described as cold-blooded. Cold-blooded! Both literally and metaphorically, with advanced technology and psychic abilities that enable them to maintain control over humanity. Alien abduction narratives sometimes allege contact with reptilians. Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, so this is where we get into Herbert Schirmer, which sounds like a fake name as far as I'm concerned. So, in Ashland, Nebraska, on the cold morning of December 3rd, 1967, a young police officer named Herbert Schirmer saw something that would change his life forever and get us all talking about UFO sightings. So what started out as a normal watch on a quiet night quickly turned into a strange and controversial event, leaving Schirmer trying to figure out what was going on and leading him to look for answers in unusual ways. So at around 2:30 a.m., Schirmer saw a strange object on the road ahead of him. The lights were flashing in the dark. At first, he thought it was a truck. So he turned on his highlights. He was shocked when the object flew off into the night sky. Shermer later wrote in his police report, he was a policeman, by the way.
Well, okay.
I saw a flying saucer at the intersection of Highway 6 and 63. That sounds like it could be the intro. I saw a flying saucer at the intersection of Highway 6 and 63.
Yeah, that's a show.
They molested me.
Cletus.
Cletus. Strong, weak Cletus. This was a short and confused account of the event. During the night, he had a terrible headache and a buzzing sound in his head that wouldn't go away. The next day, he found a red bump just below his left ear, which made the puzzle even more important. Ooh. Shermer realised that he had lost 20 minutes and was at a loss for an explanation. Because of this strange event, he decided to seek help from Dr. Leo Sprinkle, a Wyoming psychologist.
So we're just making up names now.
Just Leo Sprinkle, yeah. He was hanging around there with Bob Cabbage. So he specialised in hypnotic regression. So while he was under hypnosis, Shermer started to remember bits and pieces of what had happened. He remembered that his car's radio and engine had crashed for no apparent reason.
Oh, shit.
A white object emerged from the UFO and spoke to him mentally. The people on board the ship claimed to be from another world, and their job was to stop people from destroying Earth. This is a common thing with aliens coming down. People are always saying they're like, stop like taking all the oil out of the planet. Very avalanche-y. Very funny.
Makes sense.
Like, does, yeah.
You do wonder about that. You're like,
you think they just abduct like heads of state rather than lads out on the beat for the police?
Yeah, because
you need to change it, Herbert Shermer. Only you can do it.
I was thinking about that today. It's like batteries, for example. Motherfuckers, like the amount of batteries that we make. Every vape, every disposable vape has a battery in it.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, how much fucking materials do we actually have? Like, at what pace can we continue this shit? Like, because it's not been reused.
And nobody's really, like, obviously,
so like,
when I say no one's making an effort to stop it, there's massive greenwashing of everything. But, like, does any of that actually make a difference?
Most vape batteries are fucking ending up, like, buried in fields and shit and fucking thrown into ditches. Like, they're not being recycled.
Lost, Mary. Lost again.
But then you're thinking about it, you're like, how long can that go on?
Yeah. Like I said, I think we'll be okay.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Pull the ladder
like
up.
Our kids and kids.
Fuck them stupid fuckers. They deserve it.
They should have never been born to me.
Here's another little cool tidbit. We consume a credit card's worth of plastic per week.
Yeah, you were saying that before. Yeah.
Did I say that before?
You did.
No, I didn't.
You did. Maybe back then it was like every month. But now maybe it's a week. Yeah, you were saying, like because of all our microwave dinners and everything wrapped in plastic and refilling water bottles when we think we're like doing a good thing rather than buying more
little
plastic.
Sponges you wash your stuff with, your dishes. It's all microplastics. All them fibres that wash off in the sink, that's microplastics.
I think that everything that's happening is what nature wants, you know?
You reckon?
Why is there no velociraptors running around outside?
They're going to come out with the oil sound though.
Well, they are Donald Trump and fucking Kamala Harris and all. So Shermer decides to find out more. He has more hypnosis sessions and they lead to more admissions. He provides further details about the ship, emphasizing its football-like metal construction. The ship's exterior was gleaming. He wanted to run away, but mentally he was held back. A reptilian creature clad in coveralls adorned with a winged serpent emerged from the ship and directed a greenish gas towards Shermer's vehicle. After that, a bright light flashed and Shermer passed out.
Classic.
When he awoke, he discovered himself on the alien ship amid equipment that appeared to be computers and control panels. The aliens explained that their spaceship worked on electromagnetism and got its power from big bodies of water, so that's handy. They also said that radar and ionization made their ship less useful. Before letting Shermer go, the beings told him not to tell anyone about their meeting and promised to come back twice more. He told everyone and they never came back. So there you go.
Bastard. He ruined it all on everyone.
If he had said nothing, he could have gone back up in the ship for a bit of crack.
Yeah, I mean, think about alien tea and biscuits. How cool that'd be.
Well,
what would it even be?
Pretty cool, eh?
Do you know what I mean? What do you reckon aliens eat? Do they even eat?
The reptilians probably eat crickets.
You reckon they're just big boxes of crickets?
Yeah, big box. They go to the
mice.
local wholesaler and just eat mice and crickets. Depending on the size. Why is it that like... No, that makes sense. No, that's a stupid question.
If... Right, okay. Here's one. If reptilian aliens show up, right, then one could assume that there are aliens that look like every race or every species on the planet, right? Somewhere. Cat aliens.
That's why there's Bigfoot, because Bigfoot is an alien and he's based off a monkey. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, you've got like fish aliens probably, you know.
We do have underwater like UAPs, the anomalous phenomenon, so the ones that go underwater and everything.
What if Earth is a zoo for the aliens?
Earth is a zoo of sorts.
And all of the species on this planet are just random aliens from all other planets, all dumped together in one place.
It could be.
So think of that.
It does. I've never thought of that before.
Well, there you go.
But now that I've thought of it, I believe
Makes sense.
Now that it's in my mind,
Makes
I can
sense,
never escape it. Yeah, I think it's all and possible.
They just had dinosaurs in the zoo beforehand, and they got a bit bored of that, so they were like, throw a meteor at that, fuck it up. Try and now we'll get all of the species.
This is very like, you know, video games that we create. Like what was the one they made for the Xbox 360 that didn't do that well? There was Viva Pinata when you were a weird candy based cardboard thing. Spore, that's it. That's what I was thinking.
It wasn't on 360, I don't think. PC game. Peter Molyneux made it.
Peter Molyneux. See the fellow who made Fable?
That's why you got mixed up.
That is why I got mixed up.
There you go.
Big Billy Ben. Big Billy acting the baggage.
Yeah. But let's get back to elite reptiles. The most prominent proponent of the elite reptilian theory, David Icke, introduced these ideas in his books, most notably The Biggest Secret. Now, he claims that the world is controlled by a hybrid race. Did I read this part?
No, this one, the Babylonian Brotherhood. It's very similar to the other one, just to get the Babylonian Brotherhood.
The Babylonian Brotherhood, or the Anunnaki, Babylon John, who can shapeshift between human and reptilian forms. He suggests that these reptilian beings originated from the constellation Draco and have been manipulating humanity for thousands of years through secret societies and political structures. Now, what I would just say though about all this is, if they're that powerful, this is something that always comes up for me, is like, why bother? Like, if you're a reptilian lizard man that can fly across the galaxy to get the hair, you're just going to fuck with us in this like mundane, mediocre... He's
like, I like to stay in
I'm going to pretend to be a local politician.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, what? No, you're...
Well, like, because they brought it further, I guess now they feed on the fear of children. Like, it's basically just turned into it.
Yeah. If I could, like, if you or I could just get on a spaceship and like travel across the galaxy to any planet at our whim at any time, that would be so mundane and boring to us to be like, sure, we'll just get in there and pretend to be leaders. Like,
that's why No Man's Sky wasn't the great, success they hoped it would be.
Stupid, man. Icke and others that are suggests that certain bloodlines are particularly connected to the reptilian elite. Jews. These bloodlines.
You can't lose with the Jews they use.
These bloodlines, often referred to as Illuminati bloodlines, are said to be descendants from the hybrid offspring of reptilian beings and humans. I jest, of course, it's not Jewish people. Members of these bloodlines... Few of them are
Jewish now. There's Christian ones, there's Jewish ones, there's, what are them, reptilian, Rastafarian lads?
Yeah. Haile Selassie. Members of these bloodlines are supposedly placed in positions of power throughout history, leading to dynasties, royal families, and influential political figures being involved in conspiracy. But like, this is the other thing about this. Isn't all of this just carrying the torch of a lot of Hitler's kind of crackpot conspiracy from World War II? Like, I'm fairly sure... It's
just bringing it to like a 90s crazy level.
I'm fairly sure like that he had a lot of these kind of conspiracies too, like.
But I think his stuff
was before
like,
fantasy allowed for like alien and shit.
And that was like the what's the name of the book again? The
Mein Kampf.
No, Mein Kampf, underrated. No, it was Protocols of the Elders of Zion, which was the fabricated anti-Semitic text and all that. And again, it's funny because I don't think in World War II era and prior to it, because the Jewish people are associated now with a affluent. Then again, it's because wasn't it Christians couldn't loan money and create interest from it, so the only people that the Jews were able to do that in nations where
after the collapse
prior to
in
banking,
Germany.
basically, wasn't it?
After the collapse in Germany, basically.
So there's probably some sort of, and even that idea, Shylock and all the
funny
rest
enough,
of it.
we're talking about the conspiracy. Like, it was after a crash in the country. You're talking about the banks trying to throw us off the trail. Like, that's what Hitler did. After the crash, he was like, it was the Jews.
You create like a common...
They contributed to it.
What are they doing now with, again?
They're profiting off our misery. That's what he was saying.
What are we doing now with, like we're saying, the immigration
Which is not true,
sentiment?
by the way. But, yeah.
No. We're not advocating for any belief histories or Hitler's ever had, yeah. Them roads are some good, though. Like, you can't say nothing against the roads.
Did you say that? Actually, kind of funny. Some dickhead fucking neo-Nazi was off climbing Hitler's favourite climb, and he fucking fell and died.
Yeah.
Wah.
The Darwin Awards.
Dope.
Like, yeah. Anyway, alleged reptilian elites. Who are they? Conspiracy theorists have pointed to various prominent individuals, political leaders, and celebrities even as reptilian elites.
Yeah, that's true.
Here are some of the most frequently mentioned examples. The royal family, the British monarchy, particularly Queen Elizabeth II and members of the royal family, are commonly mentioned in reptilian conspiracy theories. Icke claims that the British royal family is part of a reptilian bloodline that dates back to ancient times and is instrumental in maintaining control over the UK and the Commonwealth. It'd be some funny if you had different reptilians per region. So, like, they're the UK lizards. They don't mess around with the Spanish lizards or anything.
Probably don't, like, separate lizard factions. They get down here, they want their own power,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Very snake-like in their movements. According to this theory, the royals maintain their power and influence through their reptilian heritage, acting as figureheads in the elite network that secretly governs the world. Okay, so there you go. You've also got some US presidents. All the Bushes have been told, have been said that they are reptilian shapeshifters. They're linked to the Illuminati and conspiracy theories due to their prominence in politics and perceived involvement in global power structures. Again, a lot of this stuff is like Halliburton and arms funding and all that sort of stuff. We'll give you this, you do that. Mm-hmm. Everyone gets rich, except us poor old proletariats. Barack Obama has also been included in these theories. Some have claimed that his rapid rise to power and international influence were due to his reptilian connections.
Military-industrial complex, man.
Not his Kenyan connections, his reptilian connections.
Yeah, for sure, man.
World leaders and politicians, Henry Kissinger, former US Secretary of State, influential figure in international diplomacy, is often cited as a key player in the reptilian elite.
Yeah, that's true.
Deep involvement in global affairs, as well as his role in shaping US foreign policy, all while shape-shifting himself potentially, has made him a frequent target of the conspiracy theories and everybody's favourite, the Rothschild family.
Yeah,
the banking dynasty. They're always linked to the reptilian elite as well. Now again, I'm sure, like we said, there's speckles of truth in everything, and this throws all of it out of the water. Of course, all of these people have vested interests in various things as they do, which mightn't be so good for the rest of us, but
yeah,
there's
a couple of celebrities here. So various celebrities have also been accused of being part of the reptilian elite. Pop culture icons like Madonna, Beyonce, and Katy Perry. Well, Katy Perry, if you heard her latest album, there's no fucking lizards helping her out with her fucking whack ass shit. She's been demoted. She's kicked out of the terrarium.
She get kicked out of the terrarium?
Yeah, she's out of the terrarium. She's off fucking shedding her skin somewhere.
Oh,
she's not doing well.
She's not allowed to sing the line about smoking wacky woodbines anymore.
Katy Perry, I don't know what it is about her. God love her. She just oozes uncool. I don't know what it is about her. She's aged before her time or something. She's turned into like a ma attitude.
Gone bad,
uncool ma.
I don't know much about her. Like,
do you know that energy, like uncool ma, when
like
they're trying to be
mom energy,
when they're trying to be hip but they're not. Like Katy Perry had that when she was like 25. So I don't know what I don't know what was going on. I don't know what's going on with her. No one really does. Someone help her, please. So they're apparently controlled by the aliens and the reptilians. Now, Beyonce and her husband Jay-Z.
Yeah, a lot of people saying is there something allegedly involved in some of that. Did he?
Yeah, well.
Which way did he?
Well, Russell Simmons has a few skeletons in his closet.
Russell Simmons, the comedian?
No, that's
Oh, Russell Brand.
That's great. Greg Fitzsimmons.
Who's
Russell Simmons is Def Jam's president.
Oh, sorry. No, there is a Russell. I thought he was like the Indian.
No, it's Russell Brand and Greg Fitzsimmons. You're thinking of Russell. Yeah, I know the guy you're talking about.
I think so. I thought Simmons was the second name.
Simmons.
Right. Okay.
It's Russell something or other.
Russell Simons.
No, I can't remember. What the fuck is his name? Fuck, it'll come to me. Their imagery in music videos and live performances is often scrutinized by conspiracy theorists. Yeah, Baphomet.
There's a lot of that, and with
Baphomet, demon ditties, you know. On a simple level, I always did think it was a bit sus that you're like, you know, Nicki Minaj is like, okay, I'll put it this way. As a podcast, we have access to the data of our listeners, right? Not like your bank details and all that. We know what age our listeners are.
Yeah.
And we know our demographics, right? We know where they're located, all that stuff. Our demographics are actually around our age. I think the majority of our listeners are between 25 and 40. We have lots older and some within the 18 to like, you know,
I'd say that's
whatever.
Very few in the 18.
A couple, like, it's probably like 13-14%. So, you know, you act accordingly, right? You know, we're not out here trying to fucking review Zoom or cryptids or whatever the fuck them cunts are doing. Now, here's the thing. Like, Nicki Minaj knows her audience is 12-year-old girls, right? Megan Thee Stallions, they know that the main people consuming their music, spending money on their records are children, right?
Keeping in mind as well, they have publicists and producers as well who are all working in tandem with to target these people.
They're totally comfortable with having their fanny hanging out in their arse and minge and all going on. And they don't care. So I think actually when you know that and you don't care, I think it's like actually sinister then at that point.
When you know you're like, sexualizing children in a way, like listeners. Yeah.
But it's like, you know that kids are watching you on the TV and they're like, oh yeah, I want to shake my big about how fucking Brazilian butt lift fucking arse around the place.
No, I wouldn't go at the Brazilians with the shaking of the arses. That's a cultural thing, man. They're all very
Brazilian butt lift arse. Like that's the that's the what they all have.
That. No, but it's like hyper, because you had the likes of Madonna, you know, down on my knees, I want to take you there. It's you know, subtextual stuff about giving head or whatever. Whereas now she's like, my pussy is so wet, I'd be like, just
go on Pornhub. All these ones just go on, like that's like, that is the end game. Like some of them new, like the hip hop chicks, like some of their new videos is like literally me fanny's hanging out. Like so it's just do a music video on Pornhub. Do you know what I mean? Just put it up there instead. Do you know what I mean? It's the same fucking shit. So then you wonder when all of this comes out, you're like, why are you doing that? And is it just simply sex sells?
I'd say a big part of it is sex sells, yeah.
Well, we're getting to the reptilian agenda now.
Yeah.
We're going to find out.
So it's like, why? Like Rob's saying, what's the point?
Why are you getting your fanny out? Why are you getting Brazilian butt lifts?
Why are you getting reptilian Brazilian butt flits?
Why are you telling 12-year-olds to get butt flits?
Butt flits. Stop getting butt flits. I'm at that time of night now where my tongue starts working. So the ultimate goal of the reptilian elite is to maintain global dominance and enslave humanity. They're said to manipulate wars, economies, and societies. They basically, it's to ensure dominance over Earth. I don't really understand why you can't just go back to the Draco constellation or whatever.
Yeah, like what's the gain?
Yeah, like it doesn't. To me, I don't like. It's just Earth really class, and other places are a bit shite.
If that was it, then that's even fair enough. That's like a good reason.
Makes sense, yeah.
Like Earth is class. Okay, cool. I get it.
So they manipulate conflict against us so that we don't kind of challenge them or challenge the people in control. Control of the financial systems and multinational corporations. The elite supposedly control the flow of money and resources, ensuring that they remain at the top of the power hierarchy. Again, don't believe the reptiles are doing it, but you saw in Canada where they turned off truck drivers' bank accounts.
Well, that was the reptiles though.
Certainly a reptilian thing to do, like, but stuff like that is when you start putting people in that situation. Now, again, I'm not totally familiar with the level of protesting they were doing, but if you're able to turn off someone's wealth, that's like you can just control everyone. Do you know what I mean? So spooky. The media, again, that's probably why they're having all these ones shaking their arses and getting big, like, fake nappy arses. So that's meant to be the most powerful tool. They control the mainstream media with the entertainment industries. They use them to promote propaganda, manipulate public opinion, and create distractions from their hidden agenda.
No.
Conspiracy theorists claim that the reptilian elite are also behind false flag events. So you're getting into, I suppose 9/11 if it was a false flag. Because there has been false flag events years ago that have been declassified. Yeah. So
loads of them throughout history.
Yeah, throughout history.
In World War II, like Hitler. Speaking of Hitler, like he was pulling off false flag events left, right, and center to. I think it was to invade Czechoslovakia. I think that like there was
just
a false
to try
flag.
and curry favor with.
Yeah.
No, makes sense. So these events are seen to consolidate power and further their control.
Yeah, well, like false flags, you can see why. I don't know whether it was Czechoslovakia or Poland, but there was something where like they literally like changed the uniforms on the troops and all. Like and like I think it was like, I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly. It was something like they stormed some fucking outpost, killed all the guards and soldiers there, changed their uniforms to be like, they're like, they've invaded, look what they've done to our troops, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they used that as an invasion. Can't remember exactly. It's been years now since I read that. It's been like time, man. Time's a crazy thing.
It's, to look back on it, because there was I can't remember what the name of it was, the Operation Woolshed or something like, I can't remember, but the idea was that they were going to shoot down a plane of students over Cuba, blame the Cubans, and then it would let them invade Cuba, and it was, JFK did sign off on it. It wasn't Woolshed, I just can't remember the proper name. But so that's another declassified document, which again, even that...
I think Nixon had one that he was wanting to do as well, something similar.
Yeah. But you make these... On one level, you can see, okay, that's for the greater good. I think all it is probably one step down that road, and it becomes very easy to do things that are for the greater good, but actually don't contribute.
Shouldn't Biden recently come out and be like, there's going to be a false flag in Russia? Like the department of, they were like, there's a false flag on the
Russia have already done that because they're saying that they're in the Ukraine trying to get Nazis, which effectively is false flag,
So, no, it does happen. So, listen, there's every reason to think about and talk about conspiracy because it does happen.
Yeah.
But then when does the lizard come in?
Yeah, because conspiracy became a form of entertainment, let's be honest. Because conspiracy became a form of entertainment, it means that you need to make it more entertaining. So no different to why you get a load of superhero movies. Now you get outlandish conspiracy theories. The only thing is the world is so bizarre right now, especially with, declassified UFO, UAP stuff, all the stuff we talk about every day, Bigfoot and all the rest of it. It's almost as if it's why I think you can join the dots so easily, because it's almost like you're doing multiverse shit. You can make a narrative. And if anything, someone said this about human beings, they called us Homo erectus, which was like, we were standing up. That was how they identified us. But actually, our most identifiable trait is that we tell stories and we are moved by stories. And so stories told in the right way can alter how we approach the world, cause polarization, probably cause a lot of positive things as well. But ultimately, we're storytellers that are spurned on by stories, and how they're told really dictates how we will act in a lot of ways.
And then you get cool shit like Lizardmen.
Lizardmen are pretty cool. It's a good story.
It is a good story. Sighting or sighting?
Not true.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I don't think there's reptilian elites.
No.
But then again, I talk about hypocrisy and like sort of calling out hypocrisy. I also then am going like, I think there's a possibility that there's a metaphysical Bigfoot, and we're constantly surrounded by these beings we can't see. Sure, that's no stranger.
True. We'll leave it there. I've been Rob.
I'm Eamon.
Metaphysical Bigfoot lovers over and out.